What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Game Time Podcast. It is Monday, August 11th. Here today, we are talking NFL. It's going to be a good one. NFL preseason, I guess I should add. And then after this segment, we're going to try to make this about 30, 40 minutes. Me and Daryl are going to talk about some schedules. We're going to predict some schedules, and we'll cut those into some 7-minute segments for you guys to watch, so to get your thoughts on those schedules. And then we'll have clips from our other stuff. If you like the Cowboys segment that we had, there will be a 7 to 8 minute video going up about that as well. And then I'll even dissect that Colts one a little bit for you guys as well. But Daryl, good to be here on this Monday record. Not usually our day to record, but we are here. No Ramon, he's up at the school with I believe just his coaching staff, stuff like that. We wanted to get him on for the Shedeur Sanders stuff, but we'll get his thoughts on that when we have them. But Daryl, that's what we are starting with, is Shedeur Sanders in his pre-season game. I
Man,
will
let the
let you go
hype
first.
begin.
Well, because
Let the hype.
I want to see what you think, because for me, I don't, and then I can maybe gauge an opinion off that, because right now I'm just a little like, it was a good preseason game. That's kind of how I feel. There's not really a lot of like, no, all the stuff we heard at the draft and everything, what everyone was saying, how everyone felt about him, it definitely, I think a lot of people were wrong on that aspect. You know, I think a lot of people looked at this as a LeVar situation with the Lakers and Lonzo, but I really feel it. But I think Dion, Shedeur, and even in the back of my mind, I always thought, like, I don't think they're going to handle this situation like that, you know?
Yeah, here's the thing for me. I know we do these comparisons. We're in the world of comparison, right? You brought up LeVar. This isn't the same, right? For me, LeVar Ball talked about his three sons as a proud father should, right? I would hype up my three sons. They were all athletes and played ball. I would hype them up very similarly. One of the things I would say, the difference between LeVar Ball and obviously Deion Sanders, the father has done it at a high level, at
Yeah.
an extremely high level, and he's a polarizing personality. And either you love him or you don't. There's not a lot of in between for Deion Sanders fans. And just our premise, my second son is named after Deion Sanders. That's why Deion's name is Deion. Because I
Really?
love
I
love
didn't
me
know
some
that.
Deion Sanders. Love me some Deion Sanders. Because he backed it up. He backed it up. He backed it up. My only issue with all of this that's going on is let it play out. You know,
Yeah.
you've got the challenge I have is we got people that want Shedeur to fail more than they want Ward to succeed. And I'll say it again, they want Shedeur to fail more than they want Ward to succeed because they want to say, "See, I told you." Now the flip side of that is very similar. There are those people who are on social media. You've seen them. They're already putting him in canon. He's already there. He's a champion. I told you so. All those things, right? Those are things that you're hearing and people are talking about. And I'm gonna share this with you a little bit because my guy sent this to me. Brown's preseason debuts for quarterback. Brady Quinn, 13 to 20, 155 yards and two touchdowns with 113.5 passer rating in his rookie debut in the preseason. Okay. We know how that turned out. Shedeur, 14 of 23, 138 yards, two touchdowns, and 106 passer rating. That doesn't mean a hill of beans in the big picture. But what it does mean is it means pump your brakes. Good, bad, or indifferent. Because if Shedeur would have been 2 of 7 with a dislocated right finger, they'd be trying to kick him out of Cleveland. Okay? Pump your brakes. These are against, some ones maybe in their area, mostly twos and a good portion of threes on both sides. So I say, a buddy of mine loves to say, let it play out. Let it play out and see what happens. He looked good. He looked confident. He looked comfortable. But I'm old enough to remember Brady Quinn looked very comfortable too after dropping to, I think, the 24th or 25th player picked in that draft by Cleveland. And what I'm saying, a lot of things can happen between now, the start of the season, and then we look at this thing 3 or 4 years down the road. Was it a good debut? Absolutely, 100%. And I'm on record on this show saying I believe Shedeur Sanders is going to be a better quarterback than Ward when it's all said and done. I absolutely believe that. But I'm not going to sit here like the folks do on social media talking about I told you so. The NFL's are fools. They were trying to make an example. Maybe they were. Okay. He wouldn't be the first player the NFL made an example out of, and he definitely won't be the last because you've got the worst union in United States professional sports. Okay. And that's the NFL Players Association. So they put themselves in that situation if this is the truth. If meaning the owners and the leadership said, we're going to show this young man to be an example. Don't blame the owners. You blame the Players Association, who are now on their third leader in the last 5 years. So you talk about that. So it's all encompassing. It's not just about Shedeur Sanders. It's about the whole piece of it. And again, I hope he does well. And he looked comfortable and he looked confident. But I'm just going to say it's game one preseason. I'm going to tell you, and this is a little tidbit. Trent Richardson scored a touchdown in his first game as a Colt.
Who?
Trent Richardson.
Oh.
Tailback from Alabama.
I remember.
Big trade. He scored a touchdown in his first game as a Colt. Yeah, look how that paid out. So let's settle down a little bit before we nominate someone for a Hall of Fame, or we say we got to throw him out with the trash.
No, I agree. I think
that's what I was saying.
I think people are making a big hoot and holler about it, but it is preseason at the end of the day, right? It's preseason. He looked good. I still think he should have went higher. Obviously, I don't think where he got drafted was the right spot. I think it was.
You and I agree. You and I absolutely agree 1,000%.
I do, but on the same front, it is that it's just a preseason game, right? Same thing if Cam Ward did that same thing, right? Let's compare him to his counterpart in the draft. If Cam Ward did that same thing, I would say, okay, it's a preseason game. I don't know how I feel yet about who's going to be better. I think Cam Ward has the potential to be better. I think Shedeur also has the potential to be better. I think they're pretty even. I think if I had to say right now, I'd probably say Cam Ward, but I think it could go either way for sure.
I think the bloodline. I like the bloodline. I like the bloodline of Deion Sanders and what he's instilled in those sons of his. I like that.
I'm curious to see how it will go. I don't have many thoughts on the game. I mean, it was a good game, but it's preseason. I'm not going to sit here and first take it and be like, oh my goodness, Shedeur is going to be the best quarterback in 5 years, top 10. Like, we're not going to do all that on.
You've seen that. So
I didn't watch. I haven't been watching a lot of first take or nothing. So I don't know what they said. But it was a good outing. That's all I'm going to say. It was a good outing. I've got really nothing more to say about that. I want to move on to the next topic, Daryl, and that is Anthony Richardson. We'll move on from one quarterback to another. Broke his finger a couple of nights ago. Colts fans were back and forth. I think Colts fans right now are definitely. I think a lot of them have the same sentiment as me, but there's also a lot of people. Like, for example, I worked at Kroger. There's a lot of people that don't want to see Richardson play, and then there's the other half of the fan base that does want to see Richardson play. I am on the iota of I don't care who you play, but if you're going to play Richardson, you need to keep him in and quit doing the pulling and starting, because you can say what you want. Yes, the injuries have hindered his development, but when you pull and start a guy like that and keep him on a leash like that, you're going to hinder his development either way it goes, because if he wants to be a little risky, he can't do that because he's just going to get pulled at some point. It's like I've heard so many basketball players or even football players, but mainly basketball players that come off the bench and they make one mistake, they're immediately pulled. This is the NFL, and he's only 23 years old. He played 11 games in college, as you've said on this pod before.
Yeah.
Give him time, and it's also on Richardson, right? He's got to be a little more mature, and not only that, he's got to quit being injured. But it also falls back on the coaching and this organization getting cold feet every time they try to make this kid the starter. They immediately are like, all right, well, he's not doing too well. We're going to pull him. Like, let him sit there, let him lose, let him throw picks, let him get sacked, let him go through all of it. So then he can start reading these progressions. I've watched a lot of film on these players and people that have good insight on the game, and he doesn't know how to read coverages yet. Well, I wonder why when you pull him and start him and he doesn't get the chance to just,
Well,
learn from that
it's
type of
all
speed.
it's a part though. He's got to take some responsibility
I
as well
agree.
too, right? So one of the things I'm just got him pulled up. He did play 12 games, threw for 2,500 yards in college, and this is over 2 seasons, and it's 17 touchdowns. So what I say is, yeah, he has to be a better student of the game. With that said, the student of the game, you don't start in high school and school. You start in kindergarten. His kindergarten year was his rookie year, and they didn't treat it as such. They treated it as though he was an 11th grader ready to go. He wasn't ready. He wasn't reading coverages. He wasn't comfortable. He used all of his athleticism to get himself out of trouble, right? And that's what you would do because that's what you go to. You go to what you're familiar with. The challenge with that is this, and I'm not saying someone didn't, but it doesn't seem as though it did. Sit him down, rookie year, put that book in his face, and say, I'm going to test you. You're going to sleep with this book in your bed. When you get up in the morning to shower, you're going to get up, you're going to grab that book again. Treat it, and everywhere you go, it's going to be there with you, right? And I don't know if it was or wasn't done. It just doesn't seem that way because when he's in trouble, he goes back to what? If at his 6'4", 240-pound frame and all that athleticism. That's what he goes to. That's in other words, it's sort of like your go-to move, right? And that's his go-to move. And it's unfortunate that it happened because he spent 3 years in Florida, threw for 17 touchdowns and 2,500 yards.
How many picks?
You know what the math is on that? Let me grab it here. The math. I'll grab it. You know what the math on that is? That is 800 yards a year, 3 seasons, man. And that's tough. On his ints, he threw 15 ints, one in 2020, five in 2021, and nine in 2022. Now, mind you,
Hey,
in 2022 was his largest year. 327 attempts, 176 completion for 53.8%, 17 touchdowns, nine interceptions. Listen, that tells you right there. It tells you right there. 12 games.
I mean, yeah, he's very
All those starts were his last year when everything else is mop up. Everything else is mop up.
he's very raw. I mean, there's not much you can. There's not like a lot of. I mean, those are good. I mean, those are okay stats, but there's nothing there that's
Those are
like,
bad stats for a college football player.
yeah.
54%
I mean,
completion, right?
yeah.
And that's my point. I saw him in his in these shorts Olympics, right? That they have in the down at the dome, right? And he looked great. He looked like Tarzan. Everything. I think a 43-inch vertical jump, right? I think he bench pressed 225 like 20 some odd times. All those things. But it just doesn't seem as though someone said, let's get you into this class and let's school you. So he's getting a lot of heat, and that's fair in some senses. Coach should get some heat as well because it doesn't look like they handled this young man. They've handled to this point have handled this young man to the way they should. Bringing Daniel Jones in this season, that should have been in 2023.
Daniel Jones shouldn't be there at all.
Whomever. My point being is, have someone that said, "Listen, you are not going to hand you the keys." Example: when you had your driver's license, you got your driver's license. Mom and dad didn't give you the best car. You had something a little banged in it, right? You had
I
a
still
little
don't got the
banged
best
up.
car.
But my
Yeah,
point being
yeah,
is, we're not going to hand you the keys just because you look the part. You got
yeah.
to show us the part. It's the same thing, you know. And I love to use analogy, but I think that's a decent analogy when you talk about a quarterback for a franchise who's had Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, Johnny Unitas, Jim Harbaugh, and the likes, right? So you got to say, yeah, let's handle him because he
Yeah.
wasn't seasoned like Peyton Manning 4 years at Tennessee. He wasn't seasoned like Andrew Luck 3 years at Stanford. So I'm going to call it down the middle. It's a 50-50 blame here. It's a 50-50 blame in my opinion.
Yeah, and we've already talked about the Colts schedule, how we think it'll go with Daniel Jones
Yeah.
as the starter, AR as the starter. Go check that video out if you haven't. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I'm really curious to get through preseason and see how the season goes. Is there a topic that you want to discuss in this segment? Those were kind of the main two I had.
Well, I just like the fact that preseason is here. It's ramping up. You're starting to see guys get talked about. There are some injuries coming along. Landon Dickerson, guard for Philadelphia, looks like he's going to have a lightly invasive meniscus surgery in the next couple of days. They're saying he should be okay for the start of the season, but if there's no minor surgeries. If they're cutting you open, they're cutting you open, right? So Landon Dickerson of the Philadelphia Eagles is in a tough spot. He won't be back to this preseason and may probably miss the first game or two for Philadelphia. But I'll say this: there's still a lot of talk about who is and who isn't. And
Yeah.
and again, I haven't watched these talking head shows, but looking online, I don't understand how my guy Jalen is still in everybody's front of their brain. Let's the young man responded. He's talked about it. They're out there playing. I just feel like you got to let it play out. And I don't want to get down to the Justin Herbert conversation versus my guy, but we got to let some of these things play out. All you're doing is just talking. Maybe it's airspace filler, maybe so. But for me, I say let these things play out. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I guess I kind of see what you're saying about Hurts. For me, I don't think for me, I don't think he's I don't know the right word to say it. I mean, I get it. I think there has been some
Well,
disrespect
I'm gonna
thrown
put
at
it this way: he's better than your guy. How about that?
Justin
That's
Herbert's not
it.
my guy. I
He,
mean,
he,
yeah,
he's better than Justin Herbert. He's better than Dak Prescott. He's better than everyone else, in my view, except for Mahomes, Jackson. Who else am I
Allen,
thinking of? Allen. He's right there. He's
Burrow.
right there. No, he's better than them because
He's
he's
not
got
better
the
than
act.
Joe Burrow.
He's got the accolades to prove it. Again, I'm gonna go back to that again. Listen, I know we don't love
Josh
Jalen
Allen
Hurts.
doesn't
Oh,
have
he does.
the.
He
In
does.
that case, Allen doesn't even have the
He's
accolades.
got the MVP, right? And he did it with a
I,
listen, and
I
he did it with a
guess.
team. He did it with a team, right? Last year, he balled out. Give him his credit. But we can't just throw guys out there names because that's a name, that's a name, that's a name. The Jalen Hurts disrespect has got to stop at some point. But it
I don't
doesn't.
think
It,
it's
it hasn't.
disrespect.
It absolutely is.
He's probably fifth. He's not
You got a
better.
Super Bowl champion who outplayed the best quarterback, do we say, twice in the biggest game. And people are saying he's 10th or 11th. Are you kidding me?
Whoa, I didn't say he was 10th. I said he's
I
probably
said
fifth or
people.
sixth.
I said people. So you got to bring him up before that. What has Joe Burrow done?
He's the only one in the AFC that's beaten Mahomes to get to the
He's
Super
thrown for a
Bowl.
lot of yards, and he
You said
got to the
what?
Super Bowl. He's thrown for a lot of yards, got to the Super Bowl, and got his ass handed to him.
Whoa, he played well in the Super
They
Bowl.
lost. He did
I mean,
not play
yeah,
the
they
quarterback that beat
lost, but
him.
they still
Right?
played well.
He did not play the quarterback that beat him, like Jalen has done twice.
I think
Those
it
are
was pretty
facts.
even.
But you can't say it's even with Jalen and Mahomes, though. It wasn't even.
I
He outplayed
agree.
him twice clearly, and that's my point. And that's what I'm saying. Well, he's got all these great players around him. Listen, don't blame him for having good players around
But at some point you do look at that, right?
him.
At some
Very
point you have.
lightly.
I mean,
Yeah,
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 but
very
still, you
lightly.
still have to look at it in
It's
some
not the
regard.
epicenter. People are looking at it, and I'm looking on social media. It's the epicenter. Oh, he's an overrated. He got X amount of quarterbacks for the tush push. So what? Okay, okay. Whoever your favorite quarterback is, have him do it then. There's a skill to it, and if it was easy, everybody would do it. So when we talk about these players and comparing them, and I get it, we look at numbers, then we look at championships, then we look at intangibles and all these things. And all those things collective, I'll take Jalen Hurts all day. All day. Because all those things together, he's that dude. This dude has improved. And again, I'm on my soapbox about Jalen, because I love him to death. This dude has improved from day one, from his freshman year at Alabama, to losing the national championship game against Clemson by overthrowing and underthrowing guys, being the most hated quarterback in Tuscaloosa during that time. He didn't hold his head down. He lifted his head up and he continued to improve and got better. He went to Oklahoma as a grad transfer, got tutelage from my guy there in Oklahoma, who's in the USC now. Second round draft pick, stayed humble. Now look where he's at. He didn't talk about it. He's about it. And that's all I'm saying. When you collectively put all those things together, I'll take Jalen Hurts. You can have whoever you want. I'll take Jalen Hurts because all those things matter. Not just one. You can have a big arm. You can be 6'6", 230. Big cannon arm. Doesn't mean anything. Do players follow you? And that's the question, right? That's one of the questions. Do players follow you? And the answer to Jalen is an absolute yes. He's an absolute yes because, again, there's a lot of naysayers about him. He just goes out and balls out. That's it. So we can talk about these other players and how we compare. And I know it's not your guy, but I'm just giving you raw information. And what I'm saying to you is simple. He's that dude, man. We can try to discount him all we want.
I'm not saying he's
not. We can try to discount him.
If I was thinking about it right now, right? I mean, you make a good argument when it comes to Mahomes. I think Josh Allen. I mean, I'd be willing to maybe take him, but I'd probably still say Allen. I would take him over Lamar, but I mean, overall, I think Lamar is probably ahead of him. But I think there's a debate. I think out of all the group of quarterbacks we've probably named, my favorite probably is Burrow, right? So Burrow is probably my favorite. And then I think when you look at it right now, when you look at all these guys that we just named, so Mahomes, Jackson, Allen, Hurts, Burrow's probably got the worst team out of those five as well. Is something I think
they had a transcendent offense last year.
They do, but at the same time, I mean, the O-line's bad. They've got a jet.
Well, outscore them.
They've got a Pro Bowl receiver. They've got a Pro Bowl quarterback. But after
they got a running back who's very good as well. Brown is very good. You'll see this year.
I think I think the Bengals right now are in. They've got an ownership. They definitely have an ownership problem. I think there's a lot going on where it's once again it's going to come down to last season. The Bengals started off horrible, and that's on them as well. And then they tried to bounce back. I mean, the Bengals can compete, and if they get to the playoffs, they're going to be a problem. But I think they have to start off hot. And I mean, we know Burrow and Chase are going to be good. We don't have to. I mean, as long as they're healthy, they'll be fine.
They're going to be good. They're absolutely.
But they have to start off hot, and I think as a Bengals fan,
just respectful. They don't have to maybe start crazy hot. Just don't lose 3 of your first 5 games.
Yeah, I think when you're Cincinnati, and when a lot of Cincinnati fans, if the Bengals miss the playoffs again, it's time to talk about that head coach. That Super Bowl's been a couple of years ago now. There's going to be time for.
He goes for a lot on fourth down too. By the way, he goes for a lot too on fourth down.
It's gonna be interesting. This kind of you talked about a coach that goes on fourth down. We all had the Lions pretty high in the power rankings video. And somebody in the comments, shout out to that person, mentioned.
I remember.
Both of their coordinators being fired. Do you think that'll not fired, but going to other teams? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said fired. Do you think that will affect the Bengals this season? I think with Dan Campbell as the head coach, I think they'll be fine. But what's their ceiling? What's their ceiling to you? Is it a conference title? Is it a Super Bowl? And then what's their floor?
I absolutely think it will affect them. But this isn't, it won't affect them in my view, like people are saying, this is over, it's done. I don't think that at all. Because the head coach is driving that bus, man. It's leadership is important. And it's clear who the leader in Detroit is. Okay, that's Dan Campbell.
Yep.
That wasn't Johnson. That wasn't my guy that's at the Jets now. That was Dan Campbell. He was rowing that boat, right? So the players are there. They still got a very good offensive line. They got an overachieving quarterback, and it's about confidence. Jared Goff played in the Super Bowl against New England, and his coach told him, please, just don't lose it. Jared Goff gets traded with 4 players, 3 drafts, and money, goes to Detroit, and the coach says, tell you what, I'm never going to take you out. You're going to ball for me. That's it. These guys are human, man. The talent is there. If you tell a player, I got your back, and you show him you got your back, Ben Johnson, yeah, that'll be a lot because he's ingenious and all that stuff like that. Don't worry. There's another guy that got to play receiver for Detroit Lions. He was their pass game coordinator, Johnny Morton. I think Johnny Morton is their offensive coordinator now. He bleeds silver and blue. Receiver, an overachieving receiver in the 90s, played with Barry Sanders. If they don't get those injuries, who knows what happens last year? If they can stay healthy, they'll be very similar to last year.
So
Everybody's gonna have a little bit of
conference
digress a little bit.
title.
Yeah, that's got to be you. That's your marker because you've been there. And what did you lose? You lost all coordinators, right? Never seen neither one of them in a uniform.
Yeah.
Never seen neither one. So maybe they'll lose. Maybe I think they won 13 regular season games last year or 14. Maybe they win 11 or 12 this year. So if you go from 13 to 11 or 14 to 12, I can see that.
Yeah.
But again, that doesn't mean anything. That just means look at the Giants in 2000 and whatever year that was, 12, 13, when they were a wild card team and beat the great Tom Brady. So again, I think Detroit's record will slide back a little bit, but maybe they'll even be better. Because you don't have a coordinator, right? You don't have a coordinator who's looking for another job.
Yeah.
Or who's being tapped on. Johnny Morton's pass game coordinator, offensive coordinator now. Let's see what happens, man. I like it. I like Detroit. I like where they are. I think they're going to be a hell of an out this season. And I just think that the coaches just sometimes maybe don't go for it on fourth and whatever, man. Just a little bit of discernment, man. That's it, man.
As an avid Madden college football player, I will never not advocate to go on fourth down if you're past the 50-yard line. If you're past the 50-yard line, I would do it too. Go for it. I mean, as an avid,
now you talk analytics, right? You talk analytitics.
If I'm past that 50-yard line, why wouldn't
I? That's what they say. That's what they say after 50. Yeah, that okay. But you got to take into context how my guys playing. Are they worn down?
That's true.
How they feeling?
That's true. There's a lot of factors.
Right. Yeah, but again, there's a lot of talk about when you get over 50, less than 4th and 6, you go for it. Okay. Yeah. But you see what happened though in the playoffs, and then you just sometimes you got to say, maybe not this time.
I think in the NFC, I think the NFC is the interesting conference because right now to me it feels like it's the Eagles and then I think everyone else. I don't really see anyone. I don't
understand how can you not look at the Detroit Lions, look at the Green Bay Packers, look at the Washington Commanders, and not have respect for them.
They're not close.
Not close to what?
Just on paper, not they just.
I don't think the game isn't played on paper.
I get it.
Listen, man. The Commanders hung 30+ points on Philly last season.
If Philly is healthy. Boy, I think it's going to be hard.
Their defense is going to regress. It has to. They were number 1 last year.
Yeah.
They're going to come back to the pack. I'm not saying they're going to be 25th. Maybe they'll be top 8, maybe 5, 6, 7. If that happens, they come back a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a slither of window for those teams like Detroit, Green Bay, Washington, Commanders. And, we can sleep all we want on Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's got something brewing over there down there in South Florida too, man.
Tampa Bay is sneaky. I will give you that. I just think right now, I don't know. Green Bay, okay. I mean, I've seen the same song and dance. I mean, they'll get to the NFC title, they'll get to the divisional, and then they'll lose, and everyone thinks they're contenders. Whether they have a 13-3 record or 10 and whatever record, I think people are still going to view them as a contender. But I mean, since that 2011 Super Bowl, they either get to the conference title and lose, or they get to the divisional and lose. I think Detroit has a shot. I had Detroit very high, but I still think, I got to see how Hutchinson comes back first. I got to see this team in action before I'm like, yep, they're up there with Philly. Tampa Bay's scary. Ramon's not here, but San Francisco's not a contender. Washington, I think it will. I think Washington.
Why would you say San Francisco's not a contender?
I mean, their schedule may get them to the playoffs.
Got really good play. They got really, really good players.
I think they'll get to the playoffs, but I just don't. I don't know, Daryl. I don't see it with San Fran. I don't think I don't think they're gonna. I don't know. I'll have to see. For the NFC this year, I just
Man,
don't. I don't view it as
I know
strong as it
you.
was.
I know you said that, and I disagree. Then I disagree now because as I look at these teams, everybody's getting better. And again, as I said, the NFL is as level as I've ever seen it. I know we talk about Philly and we started off talking about them in Kansas City. No, they're coming back to the pack, man. No team, and no pun intended. The pack may be coming back to them. Pack. You're talking about Washington. You're talking about Tampa Bay. I don't think Minnesota's going to be as good as they were last year. They
No.
basically got a rookie quarterback, and they've had some upheaval. You got my guy got the 3 game suspension. The receiver got a 3 game suspension at the beginning of the year. That's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Yeah, but again, I think there's about 5 teams in the NFC that are really, really, really good. I think
Yeah.
I think I just named them actually. Yeah. So yeah. So we'll see what happens. I know you got your thoughts on it, but again, man, they play it on the field, man, and you're not giving Green Bay and those other teams any love, man. I think you're gonna be surprised. I think you're gonna be
I
surprised.
think I feel like I've seen it already. I don't feel like seeing I think a part of me also just doesn't want to see San Francisco, right? I think
Well,
that
that's a part. That's the bias piece, right?
well,
I
that's a
get it.
bias, but I think it's also like when you look at it, we've seen Kansas City, San Fran, Kansas City, Philly. That's been our rotation a lot. So I do want something different. I think Philly will be there, but I don't think San Francisco. I don't think San Francisco is a contender as a lot of people think they are. I think Green Bay. I will have to see. I don't know. A lot of these teams in the NFC, I'm just kind of like, eh. I mean, they've got a good roster, but it's like I'm not like, yep. I think they can contend. I think they can go to the Super Bowl. Like Green Bay, maybe maybe once I watch Green
And
Bay, my
yeah,
opinion will change.
Green Bay, Tampa. You're talking about the 49ers. You're talking about the Lions. You're talking about the Eagles and the Commanders. Man, that's gonna be good, man. That's gonna be good. It's not gonna be a cakewalk here, man. We'll be talking again in about 15 weeks, and we'll see where everything is settling in at, right? Well, we'll talk more than that, but yeah, I'm confident that this is a very, very balanced NFL right now that we've got.
Yeah. No, I'm curious to see. Don't want to make this segment run too long. I don't want it to hit like an hour or nothing. So I
Gotcha,
do.
gotcha.
It's been about 30-ish minutes, so that's how long it's been running. So let's end it off. Is there anything you want to end on? We don't need to talk about Dallas. We already had the whole segment
Well,
dedicated to them, so we're gonna
well,
skip over
well
them.
we
No
can't, we
need.
can't, man.
No
We gotta
need. No
talk.
need.
Dallas is the epicenter of the
No need.
NFL.
Joe Milton looked bad in preseason, but that's all I got.
He looked bad. He threw for 2 touchdowns.
He looked all right. He's very just
Whoa! We
he
can't
was
do this
no,
because oh,
I
wait.
think
You just said you said Joe Milton looked bad, right? I thought I didn't see any of the
very
games. I was busy.
eesh,
Are you serious?
eesh. I don't it's all right. I don't see that he's got a nice arm and he can move, but other than that, he can't read defense as well. The accuracy, he's basically Richardson, just not as big. He's got a nice strong arm, but other than he can run, but other than that, he's got the same problem with the accuracy and the reading coverages, stuff like that.
Man, I mean, he threw for 2 touchdowns though, right?
That's Shedeur did it too, but they tell two
Uh,
completely different stories. Shedeur was a little more
17 to 29, 143 yards, only 1 touchdown, but 1 interception. And he
but
rushed
on
for
paper
22
that
yards,
sounds
22
fine. But
yards on five
I
attempts.
watched the game. There were so many moments where it's just like, oh my goodness, no wonder New England
But
kept
he's a second
Drake
year
May in.
guy. He's a
But
second year
still,
guy.
I know. I'm just saying. Still, a lot of people, specifically Cowboy fans and Patriots fans, were like, "Man, why isn't this guy starting? Why isn't this guy?" That's why.
But, but see,
That's
that's the
why.
hype. That's the
No,
hype
that's my
train.
point. The hype around Joe Milton is very high, and it's like we need to tone it down a little bit. That's why I said that. I don't want to talk about Dallas. I hope they suck. I've already been through this. I don't want to get myself worked up. I got all the fans blowing on me, so I don't get too hot. Because that Cowboy segment, I was sweating. I don't know, you couldn't see it, but I was actually
I
like
felt it.
sweating.
I felt it. I felt all your pain, man.
Yeah. So
Trust me, I felt all your pain.
I don't want to see Dallas win. I think I'm curious to see what Washington does if McLaurin does get traded, but I think they'll get it figured out. If he does get traded, though, I don't know. I mean, what are you going to do? Debo Samuel? We're going to rely on Debo as the wide receiver one. So
Well, I made it clear what I think about Debo, man.
You never, I don't, you haven't talked about Debo as much on here.
He's a heavy 4'6" receiver with a heavy price tag of $20 million this year. That's what he is. That's what he is.
Yeah.
I think Washington made a mistake with that.
I think he'll be good. In the first couple weeks, people will kind of like pay attention to him, right? Defenses. But then once they start to see, oh, he's regressed, I think that'll start to fade. But if McLaurin's not there, I think teams are going to find out very quickly, like, oh, Debo is not the same Debo. So it's going to be a matter of
McLaurin will be there. I think he'll be. I think
he will too. I think McLaurin will be there. Jerry Jones came out and said that Michael won't be there the first couple of weeks. I wonder how long McLaurin won't be there. What would you say? Because you said Memorial Day Michael will be back. What day? What are you saying now for McLaurin?
You mean Labor Day? Labor Day.
Sorry.
I say about the same thing, man. The guy's under contract, and the big push because the holdout is because of the Debo situation. He doesn't have anything negative towards Debo, but you bring a guy in who's done nothing for your franchise, and you got a guy, Terry McLaurin, Cathedral High School's on, Terry McLaurin, and all he's done was catch balls, 1,000 yards, touchdowns last year was his high water mark of his career. And he says, hey, give me something that's doable based off what I've done, right? So in my view, I think they've kind of given him the short end of the stick, but I think he'll get signed as well too. I don't think he'll get traded.
Yeah,
unless he comes out and creates some type of a toxic communication where they don't have any choice.
I'm curious. I'm excited for the season. I think, now that we've got this pod, I don't have to worry about Cowboys football as much. I can enjoy the other teams in the NFL as much. I'm very excited about this season. I mean, it feels like I've been baptized thanks to the pod, and I have a new hope in watching football now.
Hey, we got to have the listeners. We got to get a listener's call. What do they want us to talk about? And give us a 15-minute segment of what the listener's choice, right? Whatever it is. I'm hoping it's Dallas every doggone time. but that'd be good. We can see what the listeners want to have, right?
No,
I'm all in for it. For it.
Well, when we come back, we are going to go over a couple schedules. We're going to just freestyle that. We're going to pull up some schedules, predict their schedules, and it'll be good. So we'll be back in just a minute, folks. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the Game Time Podcast.